Hey everyone, so we are starting chapter 4 now, and chapter 4 is all about systems of linear equations. Okay, so if you notice, we're going back to talking about linear equations. And before we get into chapter 4, before we get into section 4.1, there are quite a few skills that we need to review. And we're going to start this week with just review skills. Okay, so this isn't any new information. This is all review, and it's important that we review because based on how we've been doing, we could use a little bit more practice in these areas. So we want to pay attention, take notes, and make sure we are fully grasping these concepts now because we haven't in the past. So practice makes perfect, right? So the more we practice, the better we will get. So this first topic that we are going to review is combining like terms, and you've heard me say this a million times. Like terms are terms that have the same variable and they have the same power. Remember, power is another word for exponent. So we need to make sure we're looking at the same variables and the same exponents. And then if we've got like terms, then we're able to combine them using addition or subtraction. And we want to make a note here that the sign in front of the number stays with that number. So that sign is going to tell us whether we add the two terms or we subtract the two terms. Let's check out these examples here. Problem 1, we're going to determine if the following are like terms. So A, we've got x and negative 2x. So we want to ask ourselves first, do we have the same variable? And we say yes. And then 2, do we have the same exponent? They both have an exponent of 1. So if you don't see an exponent, it has an exponent of 1. So we can say yes, these are like terms. Let's check out B. First question. Do we have the same variable? Well, I've got x squared and I've got y squared. So I have two different variables. Right away, I know, no, they are not like terms. Notice they do have the same power. They have the same exponent, but they need to be the same variable. C and D are already done. Notice C is x squared, and then this first term is x squared, and then this second term is x squared y, so not the same variables. This one has a y, this one doesn't. And then D, we've got negative 6y and 1/2 y. We've got the same variable and the same exponent, so yes, we've got like terms. The next problem 2 has us practice combining like terms. So you'll notice when I combine like terms, I underline. Okay, so I look for my like terms. I see negative 2x and 6x. And this is where this comes in handy. Whatever sign is in front of the number stays with that number and tells us what to do. So I'm going to do negative 2x plus 6x. That gives me 4x. Plus 11 doesn't have any like terms, so there's my combined like terms of that expression. Let's do it again. I underline like terms, so I've got n plus 9n. That gives me 10n. Notice how I underline that sign in front of the number. And then I've got negative 10 minus 3. That gives me negative 13. Okay, let's check out C. I'm looking for like terms. I've got 4x squared and 6x squared. So I'm going to add them because of that positive 6x squared. So that gives me 10x squared. And then I've got a 3y. That's the only 3y. And then this 5x is the only 5x. That's my fully simplified expression. Remember, this 5x and the 10x squared, they're not like terms because they don't have the same exponent. One has a 2 as the exponent, and this one has a 1 as the exponent. If you don't see an exponent, we know it's a 1. Let's check out D here. Let's look at like terms. I've got a 2z squared, a 2w, 2w, 2z squared. I'm going to add those together. So now I have 4z squared. 2w plus 2w gives me 4w. E and F are already done, so you guys can check those out and make sure you get the same answer that I've gotten. The next skill that we are going to practice is the distributive property. The distributive property, remember, and we're good at this, what we need to do is multiply each term inside the parentheses by the term on the outside of the parentheses. So when we've got addition, notice I've got A times B plus C. I'm going to do A times B plus A times C. Or if it's subtraction, a times b minus a times c. Again, whatever sign is in front of the numbers comes with that number. So let's practice. I'm going to have negative 6 times a, negative 6 times 8. These aren't like terms, so I'm done. We can still distribute even though it's written in the back. It's kind of funny, but we're still going to do the same thing. 2 times 9m and 2 times 10. These are not like terms, so we're done. Let's do it again. Negative 7 times 5k is negative 35k. The variable comes along. Negative 7 times negative 4 is a positive 28. And then let's try this one. A times negative 4a is negative 4a squared. A times 3 is 3a. So really important, a variable times itself is a squared. We add those exponents. That's how I get the 2. Now we're going to do some simplifying when we distribute. So I always distribute first. The negative 5n stays the same. 3 times 6 gives me 18. 3 times 7n gives me 21n. Now notice I've got like terms, so I could do negative 5n plus 21n. That gives me 16n plus 18. I've got the subtraction I've got to distribute. So the negative 2n stays the same, but now this is going to be minus n plus 10n. Combine like terms. And there's my final answer. See, you can try by yourself and make sure you get the same thing as I did. Okay, great job, guys. This is our first review of combining like terms and distributive property that we are going to use a bunch in Chapter 4, so that's why I wanted to review it. Great job, guys.